All right. So this is Legacy's Allure. Um, a, a, a fresh game I just heard about not too long ago. It's Kickstarter. It's not even released yet, but the guy who's been working behind this has been developing it for a while, from what I could tell, and he's got it up on Tabletop Simulator. It's a really fun game. Um, what I'm doing here, I'm setting up to play versus this opponent. We both just happen to be with the same faction, which is why all the cards are blue. Um, I'll try to talk through some of what is going on, just like in this game in general. So we both pre-built some decks. Um, we're doing it a little bit incorrectly here, but we're just placing them into their starting positions, all of the cards that we've chosen, and we're about to go to battle head to head. The way the game works is pretty straightforward. The units have, an amount of attack they can do, an amount of movement they can do, and an amount of health that they have, plus a bunch of keyword abilities like you would see on a typical magic card or something similar. And every turn, each unit gets to take one action. The goal, whoever is the attacker, needs to be holding that center tile at the end of the game, that bright yellow one with the die on it. So here we're just rolling to see who goes first. He wins, which is great for me. I have a really defensive deck that I've built, and I kind of want him to go first, truthfully. Though normally it is considered an advantage. I don't really know how true that is. I'm very new to this game. So what you'll see at the beginning of the board is a lot of very cautious play. No one wants to commit. No one wants to put a unit into danger because, like I was saying, for the most part, you move a unit, but you don't get to attack with it, which means like you put it into a danger zone as you near your opponent without actually doing any damage, let's say, or taking out any units on their side. So they're always just able to retaliate back on you. It's his turn. He's doing some thinking. I'm actually looking at the board from his perspective, and we see that his move is going to be to take his hero and take the center square. So his hero is actually, we both have a hero, we both have the same hero. And the way that they work is you have this slew of item cards that you get to assign to your hero. Um, I've taken a couple, like literally two. You can see them in the top right corner there. And he's taken five. He's put a lot of gold into his hero. The way that the units are balanced is everything has a gold cost, and they where we play with a predetermined gold cost. This is like very common in war games, where both parties or the community at large decides there's a standard amount of gold that you want to spend on something and on an army, and you build to that gold amount, and that's how everything stays even. That's kind of like a magic cost in Magic, or a mana cost in Magic, um, or very similar things in other games. So his hero is very stacked, actually. He's got five shields on him right now, which basically absorb five damage. That's on top of the six health that he already has. So he is a very, very hard to kill unit. Um, what I'm thinking about on my turns around this time is, what do I want to do? Um, my game plan is basically keep him away, make him walk into me, beat him up when he does, and use my ranged units to get in free shots. So I have these three ranged units in back, these two longbow archers. You could see them like with the cool bows all the way at the top of the screen, and then the catapult that I just placed a buff on. I buffed the catapult with this other unit called the tactician. I like this one a lot too because you can buff a unit with extra movement, extra range, or extra power. That catapult has four range, which is huge for it's I think the longest range of any unit in the game, and deals three damage on as a base. Now it's dealing four damage as a base, and so I threaten a very large area of the board with just that one unit. So whenever he's ready to start moving units into that range, well, I've got this really big threat waiting to hit him. As it stands right now, I could just deal 4 damage to his hero, and it would cost me basically nothing. I wouldn't take any damage back from that. Most units, when you attack somebody in melee combat, they they will deal their damage back to the attacker. So his guy actually, as a base, has 3 power plus 2 from one of the items he's taken, will allow him to deal 5 damage back to any melee attacker that I use. But I've got a lot of range. That's kind of what I'm built for. So I'm trying to figure out how I want to play it. Do I want to start wailing on that guy? Do I want to um, move up a unit to start to threaten something? Do I want to keep buffing my units with tacticians? That's what they're there for. Um, it turns out that what I want to do is literally nothing. I believe that my next move is to pass. And to pass in this game means, okay, now it's your turn to do something. That swordsman, he's there for a reason. This unit that I'm passing right now. He's back there because I want to prevent his units from getting onto my backline units. If he wants to take a turn to move somebody next to my swordsman, and then take another turn to attack the swordsman and have my swordsman deal damage back to his unit, I'm okay with that. That is, 2 actions from him where I get to do retaliation damage, but I also get to protect my weak units and back, and rain down fire on his units. That's fine for me. So what has he done? He's decided to move one of his units out from in back. That's a great move. That unit's not going to do anything back there on its own. That's kind of like passing, except he wants to be more aggressive, so he's starting to move his board forward. It's a very low cost unit he chose to do that with. All right, and now we can see I've boosted my archer with another power. So again, these archers, the longbowmen, they have 3 range. They can threaten a huge amount of area in front of the board. They can threaten his hero again. So I could deal 3 damage to his hero, not need to worry about facing any damage back to it myself. Okay, that was a very important move. So this unit is flying. And what flying does is it allows that unit to attack or to move over units. Normally you can't do that. Normally units will prevent even your friendly units from moving through them. So by moving that guy to where he did, he actually threatens a lot of my board. He can fly 4 more spaces and hit a lot of units. There are things that I can do here that would be potentially helpful. I have a knight that can attack and move in the same turn as long as whatever I'm attacking is in range. But my knight, I need him there for defense for now. Maybe I'll use him later to actually get out a proper attack, but not yet. Also, I'm thinking, well, maybe I can just use my catapult to blast him out. He's now in the threat zone. I can take out an entire unit. Again, no harm to me. The only downside here is really that I did take some energy to make my catapult stronger, and it's actually very useful to not use the catapult until I have all the options on the table, right? I use that catapult and it's no longer a threat for the rest of this turn. So I want to keep it unused as long as possible. And trust me, it takes a lot of self-control to not just blow something up when you have the opportunity with the catapult. But truthfully, the catapult's safe. So I don't need to worry about that too much. And now when I say the catapult is safe, that's mostly true, but not entirely true. He can attack it with various units, even from further away, which we will see coming up in a few turns. So what are we doing here? Again, we're just jockeying around with positioning. I passed again with one of my core backline defenders, and he moved up a unit to help support the center of the arena. Again, the core goal of this game is control the center at the end of the game. So I could use my longbowman to deal 2 damage to that pikeman, and he would only be left at 1. I'm not a big fan of that because it doesn't actually guarantee death. And if I can't guarantee a kill, really, why would I want to do that? Um, if I can guarantee a kill, that's much better. That means he gets less actions next turn. It means an entire unit can stop being a threat. So I'm not there yet, but it is something that I'm thinking about. All right, so right here, I'm about to make one of my first, I think, big mistakes. I don't even realize how big it is until the turn after this. Actually, I don't think I realized it at all while I was playing. But I used that priest to pass, basically, saying, okay, you must take a move or pass yourself. And I should have used it to heal the knight. The priests, they can heal 4 times. They have 4 mana. The heal ability costs 1. And what it does is it removes 2 damage from a unit, right? And I chose to not heal the knight there because I didn't want to waste the mana to only heal 1 damage. To me, that seemed inefficient, and I was hoping that I would be able to use all the mana over the course of the game. This turns out not to happen, and it turns out to have been a mistake that I didn't realize how bad it was until it was too late, basically. So he moved his knight in over to the corner. Knights typically you want to use them to be aggressive with. Um, they can move and attack on the same turn. They have this ability called charging, and because of that, you can take out units from far away before they've even acted. You don't have to wait until they move in to beside you to attack them. You can attack them from far. Uh, so there wasn't anything valid for him to attack that was in range. So he didn't, which is totally fair. But what he did do that I realized, but I don't have a good plan for at the time, is he moved it so he will be able to threaten my priest on the following turn. And I see that's coming, and I've mostly accepted that this is probably going to happen. There's no way that I can really move my units to prevent that while still, being safe in the ways that I think I need to be safe here. So what do I do here? I pass again. I want him to develop his board more. I have these 2 ranged units, I can rain down 6 range damage in quite a decent area. So I'm trying to figure out what it is that I want to do here. He passes with his crossbowman. It's a pretty standard play in a situation like this. He moves it forward, and now it'll be in range to be able to do something useful in an upcoming turn. So I take my hero, I move him forward one, and I use this arrest ability. What it does is it disarms a unit that is next to you, and if you don't combine it, you get a free action. Combining is basically moving and using whatever ability has combine on it. So I moved him and I used the ability. And the ability here is to disarm. So I'm going to place this disarm token on top of the unit. And what that's going to mean is whenever he would attack, he doesn't deal damage. And that includes retaliation damage, which is what happens when something else in melee attacks you. Um, This means that my knight can now charge into him, deal 3 damage, and not receive anything back, which is a lot of damage to receive back. It's 5 damage. It's hefty because he has 3 base damage plus he's got the broadsword down on the bottom. So now we get to see the other ability that the priest has, which he has a priest as well, and he's going to use it to remove the disarm debuff from that I just placed. This means that, I won't be able to attack him for free this turn any longer. So what I'm opting to do here, rather than that, is just make use of my longbowman. I don't think anything is going to move in range that he would be able to outright kill any longer. Obviously, I get proven wrong with that immediately by him doing what he just did, but that's not really a big problem for me anyways. So I used it to deal 2 damage to his hero. He moves in this unit, which is basically just going to be a road bump for me from this point going forward. And prevents me from doing things like charging deep into his back line in some respect. So what am I doing here? I'm moving forward this other defensive unit, and I'm using it to, again, disarm his hero. It has the ability to move in and disarm, just like my hero does. Actually, I will do that on the next turn. So he moves in this elite swordsman. He gives it a shield. This is something it can do, either give itself a shield or give itself an extra power. But again, he can only move. He can't actually attack. And the reason he's giving it the shield is, again, my catapult can deal 4 damage to the square he just moved into. Not 5, though. So he moves in. I opt to do that huge chunk of damage, thinking, okay, next turn, that'll be one of the priority moves that I make. It's going to be to just take that guy out, right? But of course, there's more to come, more things I'm going to have to deal with in not too long. So here we're building up to a dance that's going to be familiar across the course of a game or any given game like this. He's thinking right now, does he want to move or does he want to pass? If he passes and then I was the last person to act, he gets to go first on his next turn. And in this case, because he was the last person to act, I get to go first, which means we have all of these units in close proximity to each other, and I get to choose which one am I going to try to do some damage with. And there are quite a few options in terms of what I want to use, but there are drawbacks depending on where I go. I can finish off his swordsman, but then his Pegasus gets to do whatever it wants. I can stop his hero, which is actually a pretty good move. What I've done there is I think that his swordsman was going to kill my enforcer. So instead, I decide I'm going to stop his hero with my enforcer. And if he uses his swordsman to kill the enforcer, well, at least it's already acted at this point. It's not just a waste. But there was something that I saw coming earlier on that I knew I would need to deal with. And here, this was just a matter of which threat do I think is more important. I don't know if I chose correctly or not at this point. The other threat is this Pegasus down here. This Pegasus is able to attack my backline because it can fly in and hit either one of my archers. And I know this. I see that that's a potential thing that can happen. And I'm not quite sure how I want to deal with it yet. I don't agree with my choice here, unfortunately. That little pesky unit there, it was not a threat at all. And I should not have made that play. I should have catapulted his Pegasus. And I will come to pay dearly for that. That Pegasus is going to do a little bit of work on my team. And it's a bit unfortunate how this ends up playing out. And yet, there goes the Pegasus. He could have attacked either one of the archers and killed it. This thing is flying, charging, and 4 movement. So he can kill any 2 health unit within 4 range. And, there it goes. So I knew that that was a possibility, and I just neglected to really properly play around it. So good news is I can easily kill that Pegasus next turn, but that was pretty costly, especially in terms of what I want my strategy to be. Really, I want to hold his guys back and keep smacking with the archers, and I just lost the turn of smacking basically. So I'm trying to think, what can I do with this horseman or with this knight? I don't think I'm going to be able to charge anything that I actually want to hit. Um, in terms of being able to take out a unit. It would be nice to kill a crossbowman or a longbowman or something with 3 health that's actually a threat. Uh, but I don't think he's going to move anything into those kind of positions this turn. So I don't see it coming. And I know that his knight is basically guaranteed to kill my priest. So what I want to do, I want to be ready to kill that knight. That's what I'm thinking about with the catapult here. I'm thinking about, okay, I know that I want to save the catapult for that knight. And me powering it up here rather than later is just me trying to bide my time. If I could power it up enough to take out the knight in one shot, or hit the knight and then have it go down to being charged by my own knight, that'd be great. But I don't think that's really on the table. So we bide our time. Gonna see what he's gonna respond with. Right. A totally sensible play. I knew it was coming. Um, I think he could have held on to it a bit longer. I didn't really have any way that I could stop him from doing that. At least no sensible way. But again, rather than using that tactician who was completely safe at this point, I don't think there was any way that he could have been attacked unless I really poorly maneuvered something. Um, I should have used my priest and healed my knight. Again, I don't realize it at this point as I'm playing the game, but my knight is in danger. All right, and this move here, well, again, I get a unit to threaten his elite swordsman for the following turn, and I get a unit out of the danger of his knight, of his swordsman over on the right side. Um, every time he's got an open unit next to one of mine, I need to either attack his unit or he will attack me. And since I was outmatched between those 2 cards, I decided to move away, make sure that threat wasn't happening, and put up a new threat of my own where I do have a chance of actually killing a unit. All right, and here I go. I eat his Pegasus. That had to happen eventually, and this way again. This is your move, right? I'm letting him. I'm waiting to respond to what he does. Again, I've got the catapult here, and how am I going to use it? I can I know that I need to deal with his swordsman. I can do it this turn or next turn. If I deal with it this turn, I get to keep my tactician. If I deal with it next turn, um, maybe I get to worry about another threat for now. So yep, he's just moving his guys up again. He's making space, making his units be available to actually perform actions. So again, I know I've got the catapult. I'd rather hold off as long as possible. He's not being directly threatened right now, and I know that there are things that I can do, um, but I do need to keep stuff safe. I want to keep my units around his knight back there so that I can gang up on him if I feel like it's time to pull the trigger. I want to keep units in the center of the board. I want to protect myself from him just walking up to my catapult. The catapult is a 13 cost unit. It is the single most expensive unit on the board, even amongst both teams. Um, it is core to my game's plan, and I can't allow for it to go down at this point in the game. All right, so I got the priest. I do some healing. I wouldn't have had to do that if I had done that earlier with either of my priests. Again, I want him to move a unit. I want him to put something in the danger zone of my catapult or of my knight. I need to make him make a move. And his option here, he decides, okay, I'm going to uh, give my crossbowman one more range, which you'll see is a totally sensible play. It allows him to get in an attack with the crossbowman this turn, where otherwise it would have basically done nothing. I'm starting to see that, okay, I'll use my knight here. I can use it to deal more damage. Uh, I know that I'm going to attack something with the knight, and I'm probably going to attack Tristan, his hero. His hero has disarm on him. If I use uh, my knight and attack him, I won't take retaliation damage. So yep, he moves in with his crossbowman. He shoots my pikeman in back, dealing him 2 damage. Because he's exhausted, he gets an extra bonus. So just like I was thinking earlier, it's time to cash in on the charging and that power bonus I've got on my knight. I'm going to move in and deal some damage to his hero. I deal 4 damage to it, 3 get absorbed by the shield. So here he's using his most powerful card to do a movement and combine it with an ability on it to give a unit 3 shield, which is pretty sweet, actually. Um, this is a very expensive card that he's just used, though. That that unit is, I think, something like 10, 11 gold. I could be wrong. It might be even higher. Um, but it's one of his more expensive units. It's got great stats, actually, and then these pretty kick-ass abilities. Um, because he didn't move that Archangel into range, and I don't think he's going to move anything that I care about into range any longer, I decide it's time for me to pull the trigger on the catapult. Um, I do the math and I figure, okay, I'll get rid of this guy that hasn't even acted yet, and I'll let him go. So he uses this elite swordsman, drops 1 healing on to my knight. Again, if I would have prioritized some of my abilities earlier, I would still have a priest open and be able to heal my knight. And again, this 1 damage on the knight, it's more threatening than I realize. And here I decide I'm going to move in this card. He will be able to survive an attack. He's threatening the guy next to him. And I don't think I'm going to need him to take out his knight. Which again, I know is basically guaranteed to kill my tactician next turn. So I'm just that's gone. I already recognize that that unit is going to die. He's now a sacrifice. So I've now given up 2 units on my back line. One accidentally for free, and another one here I could have prevented, and I'm going to lose another one that I again potentially could have prevented. Okay, there we go. We see him use his priest again. Is going to remove that debuff, um, allow his guy to do attacks. But I haven't used my hero yet, and he can just do it again, disarm again. Okay, and that's the end of that round. I passed with my last 2 actions, not because it's going to allow me to go first, but because I need their positioning. I don't want to allow them to walk into my back line. So I need these units to stay where they are, in terms of my swordsman and my hero. Those are the 2 guys with actions that were left. So it's my enemy's turn, and he's got options here, options that I forgot about to a certain extent, um, and that's a big one. That one hurts. He's going to eat my knight with his hero. So his hero has 5 power thanks to his an item that gives him 2 extra power, and my knight has 1 armor and 5 health. So he only takes 4 damage, but he's also got 1 damage from before. This 1 damage that I really should have been dealing with this whole time, because exactly what happened could have happened. So there he goes down. That's a lot of gold from my side of the board. That is my most aggressive unit. He was in a very good spot. He was able to start really doing damage to the enemy. So what am I thinking here? I'm like, okay, I better use this tactician while I can, because he's about to die to this knight, and I know it's a valuable card. I better do it now. So I drop that onto the catapult, giving him the extra damage. Okay, what does he do? I again, I had the option to um, hurt that swordsman. I could have just walked into him and killed him, but in the end, I didn't act fast enough. I prioritized things elsewhere. I wanted to get that 1 extra damage out. Maybe I should have instead focused on just killing that unit. That probably would have been a stronger play. I think that was another mistake on my part. Um, yeah, getting that free action um, on the tactician that was doomed to die would have been nice, but not as nice as taking out a 7 gold unit with a 4 gold unit that already had a bunch of damage on it. So what do I do? Okay, I'm going to use the catapult. We'll take out that swordsman. It can be a big threat. It can do a lot of damage. He does counterattack damage, so I don't really want to engage him in melee. Um, I I'm wasting some of the damage from my catapult. It dealt 4 damage. I only needed 3 to kill that unit, but there's only so much you could really do. There were other options there again, but I don't think I sequenced that quite the way that I should have. So he moves in with his crossbow. It deals 2 damage to the pikeman. The pikeman dies. I I think that was actually not possible. Now that I look back on it, that pikeman has an ability called Steadfast, which means he can't be charged. And he got charged twice by that same crossbowman. Oh well. You live and you learn. So what am I doing here? Okay, I'm moving my swordsman forward to make it difficult for his hero to get into my back line. I don't want that to happen. And also this way, I get to threaten his hero on upcoming turns. So here comes the knight play that I knew was coming this whole time. Again, it's just a matter of how am I going to react to some of these events that I basically know are going to happen. There was this knight coming in that I knew was a possibility. Here I'm thinking, yeah, that knight's going to happen. Maybe I could have put some energy towards killing it, but I couldn't kill it in one move. And if I start spending resources to kill it and I don't get it in one move, then, that's going to hurt me. Okay, so this is another really big play from him, and what I think is a very big misplay from me. So I'm thinking about what can I do to get rid of this knight. This knight can't stay in my back line for all of this time. I need to get rid of it. So my answer to this is I'm going to buff my archer so that I can deal more damage to him this turn and then be able to kill him in one shot next turn. So I take my archer, I give him the power buff, and my plan is okay, I'm just going to use it to shoot down the knight next turn. I don't want that knight ravaging my backline again. So I'm also thinking, where do I want the tactician to go? Do I want it to go so that he's going to be able to just easily walk in and threaten all 3 of my units with his crossbowman next turn? No, I don't want that. But he gave that Archangel 1 movement, and I knew that that spot was a threat. And I was thinking, oh, I can just disarm him, which is true. I could. But having him there, um, now I have to respond to too many things on my turn. I have a knight that I got to deal with. I've got this Archangel I got to deal with. I've got his hero I've got to deal with. I've got the crossbowman I've got to deal with. All those guys are threats right now. There's threats right now that I need to be able to deal with. And I can't kill all of them. I could kill the crossbowman right now if I want. I could deal some damage to the knight. Um, I could kill a random pikeman he's got back there with my archer, but I can't take him out just outright. So I'm like, okay, the knight I think is the biggest threat that I need to deal with soon. Let's start getting the ball rolling on the knight. Um, I have some plans for how I'm going to kind of mitigate the amount of damage that he's going to do here. Yeah, I know I want to attack the knight with the swordsman and then heal it with the priest. Those are the things that I know I want to be able to do here. Fortunately, it's not enough to kill the knight. The knight's got armor. Every time I deal damage to him, he takes 1 less. Yep, he moves in a unit that threatens my swordsman. I have to respond. The priest is the way I want to do that. With that move, I get to keep his crossbowman away from my catapult for another turn. He won't be able to charge into the catapult this way. And here I think that it's his turn, but it's not. Uh, that unit up front there is mine. That's still up straight up, and I had forgotten about that. So here we go to the next round. Yeah, we clear off our units, and I know immediately I need to stop that Archangel. That Archangel is the big threat right now. I need to deal with it. He'll just take out my catapult before my catapult gets to do anything. Because he has 6 health and 3 shields, and I can't deal 9 damage to it like that. And he retaliates for 4. He's a very big unit. And he's way in the back line. He's threatening 6 of my guys right now. I'm not too worried about him attacking my hero, but he is there. So it's his turn to respond. What does he want to do? Does he want to move his priest forward and take the debuff off the Archangel and just put me back in the same spot I was just in? It's a real option. And instead he's like, okay, this crossbowman is so ready to die, and I'm gonna take out his tactician, which is fine. And then he chooses to use his knight. I think I would have started with the knight to take out my longbowman first if I were him, um, in order to attack it. Um, uh, I still need to go through basically the same sequence. It would stop his crossbowman from being threatened immediately, um, unless I want to really displace my hero. And the longbow archer is just a higher value unit. It just deals more damage. So the catapult guy, he's still safe for now. Um, I know that nothing can actually kill him uh, with the current board state, and because the Archangel has this disarm debuff on him, he's not going to take retaliation damage. So this is again a good way for me to use my melee units, um, still keep his units separated from my back line, and this way I'm able to get some damage in. And now he sees what's happening. Okay, if I just let him sit there disarmed, I lose the opportunity to retaliate every time he doesn't want to. And again, now I know, all right, um, the catapult's threatened. I got to deal with something. What's the highest value target I could take out? I'm not going to waste 3 damage on a crossbowman that's no longer threatening anything over there. I decided to take out his longbow archer, who is now in range to really start, putting down the hurt on my team. So that's the plan. And I know that in the next turn, he's going to take out my catapult with his Archangel. That's the trade I signed up for, let's call it. Um, I had another option there of attacking with my hero into the Archangel to get some more damage on him, uh, and then potentially kill him in the following turn. But there were a lot of things that were maybe getting in the way of that. Um, so yeah, he moves in, and I'm trying to think like what can I do here? He's got his big 5 power um, attacker in terms of his hero unit. I don't want to allow that to just run free and start eating up my cards. I do want to play some amount of defense. Now I'm able to threaten one of his cards that's close by to me, perhaps free up my swordsman if his unit wants to just, play block. And yet he's going to use his hero to eat up one of my units here. Not much I could do about that. And I don't think I need to change anything here. I'd rather just go first. That's okay. So he just ate one of my mid-tier units. When it comes to value on the board, he's way ahead of me. And I'm thinking, okay, what's the game plan here? What am I going to do? How am I going to win this game? And I have concerns about how that's going to happen in the next few turns. So what do? I'm taking the center. This is round 4. We're about to go into round 5. And I know that the goal of this game is to hold the center tile at the end of the game. And he's got some choices to make now, some tough choices. Right, so he's going first. He eats my catapult. And I see that happen. And I'm wondering, okay, what do I do next? I think I need to stall him. I need to make sure that if he's attacking me, I'm getting retaliation damage back on him. My hero has armor, so every time my hero takes damage, the enemy is going to take a little bit back, and probably more back than what I'm taking, or at least something back. And the swordsman, he deals 3 damage. Like he's a unit that you can't just forget about. And I see how the clock looks, and I'm thinking, well, if I move next to this crossbowman, his crossbowman's he's gonna want to take that shot. And if his crossbowman takes that shot, well, I get to act next turn. So he moves in, he drops a disarm on my hero, or he exhausts my hero, but that takes his own action. So basically, we've just taken each other's action. That's a free eat on that unit, and he's going to go for the attack here. The tactician is out of range in order to be able to significantly boost that attack. And his healer is literally useless now. It is just a body. It is just a unit that says, I pass at this point. Okay, so that crossbowman, I fully expected he was going to take the shot. And if he does it from where he started at this turn, and when I retaliate next turn, when I take an attack action on him next turn, he wouldn't be adjacent to the Archangel, meaning the Archangel wouldn't be able to just attack. So he moves it over. He's closer to my pikeman if he wants to attack him next turn. And if I try to attack the crossbowman, then he's going to be able to retaliate with the Archangel, or then do a follow-up attack with the Archangel. Which, unbeknownst to him at this point, is actually what I want to have happen. We're now round 6. He has 2 rounds to take the center tile. And in order to do that, he's going to need to attack my hero twice. And my hero, perhaps even 3 times. But my hero, every round, he can prevent someone from attacking him. His units don't have charge. So what have I done? I take that unit over, and I'm offering up, hey, eat my swordsman, please. And at the same time, he's saying, oh, I can attack you, but if I do, I'll take damage back. I'm just going to take an action and prevent you from doing attack damage back to me, which is a totally sensible thing to do, and I think it just lost him the game. So he needs to get me out of the center, and I'm not going to do that willingly. So he needs to start attacking me. He is going to need to hit me with his 2 big guys at least twice over the course of the next 2 turns. He can't do it with the Archangel this turn, so he has 3 potential opportunities. and he just wasted one of them by not taking it. By using the disarm action, I get to disarm him for free this turn, which means he's not going to be able to attack me this turn. On top of that, he didn't position his Archangel next to me for the following turn, which means that he now only has one opportunity to attack me on the next turn rather than two, and I'm going to be going first, and I have the disarm action available to me, so there's no way that he can win any longer. Even if he would have moved the Archangel next to me after having done his disarm action, on the following turn, I would have had the ability to disarm one of his 2 units. He would only be able to attack with one without enough damage to take over the square. So we both basically come to this conclusion right here at the end of the game, and we chat about it for a while, and even the game's creator jumps in, and we have a little bit of a chat about some of the events of the game. It was a good one. It was my 4th game. It's a great game. Just the amount of depth available here is so much, and just watching over this replay to commentate on it has showed me a lot about some of the decision making, a lot of the prioritization that I could be doing, even within the context of this game alone, where I think I could have been doing just some strictly better plays, not even a grand strategy change, just some small sequencing issues that I could have handled a lot better. But all that said, this game was great to play. It was great to rewatch. I really loved how it ended, and really loving this game. So I hope anyone watching this really gives it a shot. I really hope it gets big. It's got a lot of potential. And thanks for watching. Peace.